Good morning and welcome to the RZNGMEN show. And I've got to say, this is a very, very happy day for a lot of us out there. It's Valentine's Day. You know, and Valentine's Day probably should be, and we're going to work through it again. As I've been working through just with this prep for this show, and I'm realizing that, I can't always say that this has been my favorite holiday. I can't even recall one that stands out in infamy in my mind, but I'm making a promise to myself, and I'm working daily to change all that, to change the perspective and just flip the whole narrative around, because Valentine's Day is a day that's directed, of course, it's marketed by the world at the heart, right? It's the day that everyone gets excited about. We spend part of the month of January longing and making plans and figuring, okay, what am I going to do and who am I going to do it with? And if you're alone like myself, you don't have an idea of a person that you want to take or can take at the moment, but you've got to just grind through all of the marketing, all of the hype, all of the issues with, and all of the expectations with Valentine's Day, because the world has put such a high price tag on what Valentine's Day is. And if you're not spending Valentine's Day with someone at all, a lot of cases the world makes you feel as if you're nobody. Makes you feel like you're less than. But we're not. You're not. It's just a day that was set aside to celebrate the concept of love. But when I used to go back in my memory and I think about, what did I do with Valentine's Day, it was, man, that holiday sucked to me. Because for me, they were all bad. They were all bad. I never had that. For those of you who remember, the Hallmark slogan back in the day was, I never had that Hallmark time when I cared enough to send my very best for Valentine's. It always fell short of some expectation of a fantasy that I had that wasn't reality. There wasn't enough time spent. There wasn't enough money spent. I didn't buy the right thing. I never said the right thing. I never went to the right place. I never went with the right person. It was such a hard thing that it never, ever came across as something going, man, that was the Valentine's Day right there. I mean, even after I was married, you figure, okay, he was married. I spent 11 years married, and you figure one of those 11 Valentine's Day would have been the ultimate. Now, so let's not get it twisted. I had good Valentine's Day and enjoyed them with my wife. I did, trust me. But none of them lived up to the expectation. It never lived up to the hype. It was almost like an old Mike Tyson fight, right? Or some MMA heavyweight fight that lasts like 2-3 minutes. You get all excited, you try to find all the right things, and you give the gift, and you spend the time, and you go, man, that really never did it. So, hey, the pressure for this day for me was always too high. I'm sure like it is for a lot of people. And the outcomes are always too low. So now, hey, I'm in a season where I don't even celebrate Valentine's Day. I haven't celebrated Valentine's Day in the last 4 years. My wife's been gone. Valentine for me has been gone. It's not gone like, hey, dead and buried, but it's just uncelebrated. So this year, I've decided that my kids and we're going to continue to restir and revitalize and rebuild traditions and create new traditions and create new memories. And so the kids and we're going to do a lot of fun things today. We're going to do dinner. We went to see the Black Violin concert last week, and that was our big ticket item that we did, so to speak. But I told them, and I promised myself, that we're not going to continue to walk through life sleepy, missing things, allowing things to go. So I have to be very mindful to guard my heart against all of the nasty feelings that are making me feel as if I'm not as good as the others because I don't have anyone that I'm in love with. But I'm replacing that love with God. And as I've been on this road of self-help, I've been wondering why that dull pressure just doesn't seem to want to go away. That pressure was reminding me, hey, must be something wrong. And I thought it was odd, too, because that pressure that I'm feeling, it used to be pain. It used to be an actual legitimate hurt, but it doesn't hurt anymore. So I asked myself, all right, Lord, am I in love with the Spirit? Am I in love with the ghost of Christmas past? And I thought, okay, what, let's not go there. Let's take that thought captive. And I need to start here with me first. I'm not going to go and worry about, some other future, some other past time. I'm going to deal with the present time, the here and the now. Because I'm standing right here on the cusp of another holiday that I'm going to spend alone. And that's romantically alone, not alone because the Lord is here. I know the Lord is here. He loves me. My kids and I are here. My family's here. So I'm not alone. But this holiday, above all others, is commercialized and marketed at the heart. So you either love this holiday or you leave it. So I discovered that the source of my pain and discomfort and misery and wondering and loathing was me. I've been playing the victim. This is a role that I find that I've come to love far too well. In fact, the Academy should have given me several awards for my leading role as the victim. Everything was wrong. Everything was put on by someone else towards me. Woe was me, right? And I found that I'd cast God in the role of the bad guy. He was my co-star. All right, so I said it. Yeah, I said it. I've been angry at God. He was the bad guy in my mind for a long time. I have to admit it. And admitting it is what diffuses it. It takes the pressure away. I had to become real with myself that I blamed God. I was angry at him because in my mind that time, in a sick and twisted way, I blamed him because he took my wife, my marriage, the mother of my children away from me. Well, and granted, he did do all those things, but it wasn't like he did it maliciously. It was her time. It was the time he already said he created her. He gave her the length of the days that he gave her, and that's all. Just like with every one of us. God created us. He gave us a fixed time clock. And what we do with that time is solely up to us. We've got to be able to do as much as we can with what we've got. Because when time is up for us, it's up. Our time here on earth will be done. So what we do with that dash between birth and death is key. That's why I do these shows. That's why I try to become the best man I can be, the best father I can be, because I don't know how much time we have. I don't know how much time I have. I can't be concerned about the length of time. I've got to be concerned with the quality of time. So as I've been on this whole time of trying to get and become the better person, become a better man, I've been challenged with thinking of God as my father. And I'm thinking, okay, so from a guy's standpoint, I don't know. Most guys, I don't know if you're like me, that's a hard thing to really think of God. Because we've it's easy to cast God as a role of father, yes. But that was a tough role for me because I found that something kept us apart. I couldn't put my finger on it because people have wanted me to think of God in a love relationship, because it's the other half of me. It's something I needed to be close to romantically in that kind of sense of an American version of love, right? But I couldn't quite grasp the concept, but I had the loves twisted. I had the loves turned around. Even Jonathan Butler's song didn't help me out. Falling in love was the best thing I could ever do, and I couldn't get to that point because my mindset wasn't clear. My mentality wasn't right. I had replaced the romantic side of what I believed love was for what the spiritual, pure side of what love is to God. I couldn't fall in love with love because I thought that love had taken my love away. So let's see, I wish you could see the capitalization there on air, but let me help you out with this. I could not fall in love, the fiery, passionate, wholehearted, romantic eros love, with love, meaning God, the pure love, the agape love, until I forgave love for taking my love away. So I have to forgive the agape love. I have to forgive God for taking my fiery love away. So I could not fall in love with love until I forgave love for taking my love away. I wasn't loving God like he loved me. I was experiencing John 21 in real life, in my present time. Because in John 21, Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? He asked him 3 times, dude, do you love me? Each time, Jesus asked him from the, do you love me? First 2 times, to say, from an agape, pure love standpoint. But that 3rd time, Jesus asked him, do you even love me like a brother? In each of the 3 responses, Peter gave him back that passionate love answer. He had his love relationship out of shape. Peter, that is. I felt myself in a Peter-esque role for quite some time in my life. And even at this point in time, I'm just now kind of getting it right. Just kind of getting it to click. That I've got to love God with that pure, unadulterated, untainted, unmatched love. So I had to forgive myself. Because my forgiveness of God has no bearing on his love for me. And I don't even have to forgive God because he didn't do anything wrong. But that forgiveness of God and forgiveness of my relationship with God, forgiveness of myself for that negative feeling toward God had everything to do with the depth of the relationship that God and I could have together. So yeah, I've had distance with God. And I've been close to God. But that distance that set us apart was that safe distance that was the chasm that's where my heart was. I was angry. I thought he was the one that rolled that grenade out there between my wife and I that I fell on. That destroyed my marriage when my wife died. And the grenade example here is from the book Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk, where he speaks about in a romantic relationship, when you need space, when couples argue and are separated, we throw a relationship grenade out there and it sets off some great argument and it sets some distance between the spouses. That distance in my case was between God and I. Because when I got married, my parents lived, they were married 40 plus. And so all I knew was to get married till death do you part. I didn't have a plan B. And it happened. Death parted us. It shattered my family. We're still trying to put the pieces together. But you know what? We're whole. We're going to be whole. We're going to be all right. The problem for me was I allowed the death of my wife to separate me from God. I began to think that God didn't love me. Didn't love me because he took my wife. It was unfair. He made me hurt. He made me cry. Made me go get put on this road where I am right now, raising 5 young men by myself. And it's hard. But it's not God's fault. He was the reason that the plan was put together and being followed out to perfection. But this plan is so greater than I that it had to take place with my wife's passing, so that each one of us, myself and my 5 sons, can grow to become who they're supposed to be. Had my wife not died, several things would not have taken place. So every point, every issue, every situation has got to play out exactly the way it's supposed to and the way it does for God's plan to be fulfilled. But for me to get a grip on that thing, it's been quite a process. Quite an endeavor. Sad part too is my favorite passage of scripture right now is Romans 8. And for the last 4 years, I really have forgotten about verse 38. Because verse 38 in Romans says, I am convinced that nothing can separate, and it says nothing can ever separate us from God's love. Neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor demons, neither our fears for today, nor our worries for tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. It's right there. It was right there in front of me the whole time. And I'm sure I've read this countless times after my wife had passed, but it never stuck. I never thought this applied to me. Until even just before I went on air and recorded this program, the scripture was escaping me. So I know that this is what I'm supposed to do and say and live through, because it came as a revelation just at this moment. I harbored such baggage because my relationship thought between God and myself had to deal with how I thought of the relationship between my father and I. And you definitely can't mask what we believe our parents have done, because I'm sure each one of us can think, oh, my parents just didn't do enough. It just wasn't right. They didn't do everything I wanted them to have done. No one's perfect. Have to realize that. God's perfect, yes. But we as people, no one's perfect. In my family, growing up, my dad was a worker. He worked hard. And as I was coming through, he wasn't around a lot. He was always gone. Out to sea, overseas. Even when he came back after retirement, he was out, I guess you could say, casting his net on the sea, right? Trying to make fishers of men. He was a pastor. He's in ministry actively, full and part-time. And as a child, I never got to see him, experience him as often and as long as I wanted to. So my view of a relationship with a father, God, and a father, man, was tainted. I didn't have a view of what I thought God was going to be in a positive sense all the time, because I was an angry little child, an angry grown child for years. I wanted to see him in the stands at my games. I wanted to see him coaching my teams. I wanted to see him around more. I wanted him to tell me I did a good job. I wanted him with me while I was going through the grief of my loss of my wife. I wanted him with me while I was raising my young men after this time of my wife passing. I wanted him to be with me. I wanted him to tell me and show me all of the things that he knew and learned when my mom died. But I had to come to realization that my father, birth father, loved me fearlessly and fiercely. But he's only able to show me the love in the way that he can show it. He can't show me love in the way that I wanted to see it. That's something that we've all got to realize in our relationships with everyone. We've got to stop. I've got to stop being angry with people for not doing and showing love the way I want it shown, the way we want it shown. And continue to love people purely, unadulterately, untaintedly. I know some people say, untaintedly is not a word. But you've got to love people purely from who they are and for who they are. It takes all the expectations out, diffuses the situation. There's no longer a relationship that can blow up in your face, because if you set only the expectation of love, I'm going to look for God in every situation. Now, that doesn't mean that you allow people to run over you and be spiritual doormats. No. You can love people from a distance. I'm learning that. I'm learning to set healthy boundaries around my heart and around my family. I'm learning that it's okay that you can love people But you don't have to sit up under them all the time, and you don't have to subject yourselves to their negative behavior. I'm not doing that anymore. I had a great opportunity to find a movie clip from a Tyler Perry movie that was out when he was in the role of Medea, and he sat there next to, I think it was his nephew Tommy, I believe, and if I got the character names wrong, please forgive me. But Medea sat there, and the role character would say that people are that we're like trees, and there's people in our lives that are like leaves and branches. Leaves and branches can provide shade and extensions to our life, and the leaves eventually wither and they fall away and they're blown away. They leave your life. And limbs, there are some limbs out there that are strong and sturdy, but then there's some limbs that when you actually try to stand on them and support and actually use them for some stability, some of them break and they let you fall and hurt yourself really bad. But then there are the roots. There's roots in your life, and roots for that tree that nourish that tree, that give that tree life. If it hadn't been for those roots, that tree wouldn't have been there. If it had not been for the roots in my life, I wouldn't still be here. So I love all my leaves and branches, but man, I wouldn't be anywhere without my roots. So I've also realized that God has chosen me. He's chosen me to live a life of a single widow dad. He's chosen to show me all of my broken pieces, all my pride, hurts, and fears and hang-ups. And it showed me that in the instant that my wife died, that foundation was broken and stripped away. Because my foundation wasn't built on the solid rock of him. It was built on some crazy facade of who I thought I was. But now, I've had a lifetime to learn this lesson, but I got it now. I understand. I took for granted that my wife was always going to be there. I took for granted that my kids were going to be there. I've taken for granted that other relationships and friendships were going to be there, and they haven't been. And now I get it. I thought I had another moment with people. I thought I had another moment with my wife. I've still got tears left, right? I've still got emotion left, right? So I thought that I still had time with them. But the thing is, I do have time. And I do have tears. But they're going to be for different moments with different people for different reasons. So I'm looking at these broken pieces on the ground that are reflecting who I am, which is the opposite. It reflects who I thought I was, and it reflects the relationship with my dad, the opposite of what it was. So I'm understanding now that my Father, Heavenly Father, loves me. I understand that my earthly father loves me. I understand now that the pride and the fears that I have are going to be given over to God, because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of sound mind. And I look at my children's faces and the responses. I understand why I'm the one that's here, the parent that's left behind to be with them. I get it. My 7-year-old child has been suffering from asthma attacks for the last week and a half. And that young man has been afraid to go and be away from my side because he thinks that if I'm not here with him, he's not going to be able to get his asthma and his breathing back under control. Yesterday, I had to actually go sit with him in class and sit with him at school and sit in the parking lot. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone, wouldn't have stayed there. He was afraid. That's a generational curse that I've allowed, that has been passed down from generation to generation, but it's going to stop here. It stops here with me, with my family, because I'm praying against that. I'm breaking that curse. I'm not allowing, now that I realize how an 8-year-old child was paralyzed with fear, and that's how I've lived my life, but no more. It's not going down like that anymore. I'm not going to be that same type of person anymore. It's like I encourage all of you, don't be that way anymore. Love God. Love the plan He's got ahead of you, a plan to prosper you and to not destroy you. God is an amazing God that we serve, and he's got so much in store for us that everything that comes our way, even in a Job philosophy where you lose everything, but he returned everything to Job several times over. So I'm looking forward to my return because we've lost a lot and we've allowed a lot to be left behind. I'm not leaving any stone unturned anymore. So I'm looking forward to Valentine's Day this year. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And I'm looking for Valentine's days and holidays to come because I'm going to make up for some lost time. In fact, I'm even going to make up a couple of holidays just for good measure. And I'm excited. And I don't mind and I don't care if the government says I'm single, widowed, or whatever. I'm going to be excited for what the Lord calls me. Blessed, son, loved. And I'm encouraging you all to do the same. Be blessed, everyone. Again, you've been listening to the Raising Men Show, and I'm your host, Craig Carlisle. Man, I really do love these shows. Love this time. I love it because the Lord is speaking to me and helping me. So I'm hoping that these shows are helping someone else out there too. Be blessed, everyone.
You're listening to Raising Men with my dad and your host, Craig Carlisle, on WKBY 1080 AM.
This is Craig Carlisle, the host of the Raising Men Show, and I'm also an executive producer of the independent feature film Restored Me.
I lost everything for something I didn't do. What type of God is gonna watch a man get up on his feet and then kick him right back down to get drugged through the dirt again?
It's a powerful, feel-good dramedy that centers around a young man trying to restore his relationship with his young daughter and her mother.
Talk to him just like you're talking to me.
Where have you been, kid? These people take communion from me. I am their God.
This film speaks to restoring your faith and pushes a bold message of positivity and motivation. The cast includes Gary Owen, Bill Duke, William Lee, Matt Gerald, Richard T. Jones, Malik Yobo, Yancey Arias, and Bo Casper Smart, just to name a few. Restored Me is available on over 100 digital markets, including iTunes, Amazon, and on demand from your local cable provider. Buy it, rent it. Either way, I'm asking you to watch it. It'll bless your life.